Morning and welcome to All Souls in the Point. This morning we are delighted that you joined us online because we have nobody in the pews this morning because of the virus. We have decided to do this all online, and so your joining us makes a big difference. I understand we have people from all over the world and all across the country, and of course right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Welcome, welcome, welcome to All Souls to the Point, our humanist service where we welcome folks who come from any theology, any background, any level of questioning the reality of any theological ideas. So this is a place where you can explore your doubts. And today we have a big question before us, the question of what can cause somebody to feel so hopeless that they're willing to even turn to violence to try to create political change in their own culture, in their own country, in their own democracy. I'm glad you're here and with us. We have the World Stage Theater Company, thanks to Kelly McLeod-Shingen and her associate director, Dion Lambert, who they are going to put on a scene from the play that they're about to do, a Tony Award-winning play called The Song of Jacob Zulu, which has some beautiful South African singing and other things. So you're in for a treat. Glad you're with us. Please take a moment to share this link. If you're on YouTube, welcome. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Zoom, we hope that you'll share the love of All Souls with others, because this is a conversation we need to be having as a nation right now. And if you're here for the first time, we hope you will take a moment to fill out a Connect card. There's a link, and you could fill that out, and we'd love to connect with you and make you a part of our All Souls Everywhere community. Our chalice is going to be lit today by two very new members, very special people to all of us, Dakota Brewster and Chanley Jenkins. They are newer members, and we're just delighted that they're going to light. If you have a candle at home or a chalice or something and you want to light it with us, we hope you will. But before that, I'm going to invite my colleague, Barbara Prose, to come forward and lead us in our covenant.
We light our chalice with words from Lainey Taylor. Hope can be a powerful force. Maybe there's no actual magic in it, but when you know what you hope for most and hold it like a light within you, you can make things happen almost like magic.
Please join me now in saying the words of our covenant, a promise we make to each other in this community, our non-creedal community. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you so much for helping me remember those words. In that spirit of love, I want to name some of the transitions this week. We want to recognize and embrace the family and friends of Dr. Rebecca Deaton, longtime member and a well-known obstetrician gynecologist in Tulsa, on her death this past week. And also, we embrace and hold the family and friends of Bill Jensen, beloved longtime member who died at 93 on a Friday night. So we're holding Harriet and their children and grandchildren in our hearts this morning. And also want to recognize the life and death and legacy and teaching of Thich Nhat Hanh, who also passed this weekend at the beautiful age of 95. Before we enter into just a few moments of silence together, it's normal on Sunday mornings that we invoke hope and joy and love and peace. But this morning, with the challenging topic that Reverend Marlin will be exploring, I want you to take a minute to ground yourselves wherever you are, and I'm going to share a meditation, a mindfulness meditation from Thich Nhat Hanh on anger. So rather than invoking feelings of hope and love and peace, we're going to invite in those really uncomfortable, raw emotions of anger that we all have. The philosophy of mindfulness is that when we can witness our true emotions in all their power It's in that witnessing that we actually free ourselves from being possessed or controlled by them. Please breathe as I share these words with you. Anger is an unpleasant feeling. It is like a blazing flame that burns up our self-control and causes us to say and do things that we regret later. When someone is angry, we can see clearly that they are abiding in hell. Anger and hatred are the materials from which hell is made. A mind without anger is cool, fresh, and sane. The absence of anger is the basis of real happiness, the basis of love and compassion. When our anger is placed under the lamp of mindfulness, it immediately begins to lose some of its destructive nature. We can say to ourselves, and I invite you to say this to yourselves now, breathing in, I know that anger is in me. Breathing out, I know that I am my anger. We'll do that 2 more times. Breathing in, I know that anger is in me. Breathing out, I know that I am my anger. Breathing in, I know that anger is in me. Breathing out, I know that I am my anger. If we follow our breathing closely while we identify and mindfully observe our anger, it can no longer monopolize our consciousness. The anger can no longer monopolize our consciousness. Breathe into just a few moments of silence together.
We are really thankful to Kelly McLeod-Shingen, the executive director of the World Stage Theater Company here in Tulsa, also to the associate director of the current play that they're working on, Dion Lambert. We are about to see a scene and hear a couple of songs from an upcoming play. It's going to be here in Tulsa before too long here next weekend and the following weekend, an incredible play. And they're going to do a scene for us that is, it begins with the opening song. The song is titled La Lila, which in Zulu means listen, listen. The play is based on a true story from South Africa during the time of apartheid. And in the song, the chorus leaders say, this is a story about a young man who suffered for the sins of South Africa toward the end of apartheid. The role of the chorus in this entire play, it's like one of those Greek choruses in some of the old Greek plays. They serve as the narrator, but also the conscience and witnesses. So you'll see the chorus will be up on the stage, if you will, while the acting is happening, because they're bearing witness to what is happening. Now, the story is about Jacob Zulu, who's the son of a minister, who is slowly drawn to the African National Congress, which is working nonviolently for change in South Africa's apartheid laws, but eventually he becomes radicalized by the brutalization that he's seeing all around him of black people at the hands of police and the military. And so he goes to study in Mozambique with some Russian group that teaches basically terrorist tactics or guerrilla warfare tactics, depending on your position about it. And he ends up coming back to South Africa and planting a bomb in a mall, which kills 4 people, 3 children, and injures 50 others, both black and white. And I would recommend, if you have children watching with you right now, that you, at least after this opening song, that you give them a break, let them do childlike things while you put on your earphones or what have you and watch this scene, because it's pretty adult-oriented content because of the violence and other things that they're talking about. But here's the scene. This is Jacob on his way to Mozambique. He's at an overnight stop, and he's in a boarding house, and the person that he's in the room with is asking him questions, saying, "Where are you going?" And, of course, Jacob doesn't want to acknowledge where he's going because it's obviously very illegal, and he is trying to kind of worm his way out of that conversation. And the person who he's talking to becomes a messenger with a warning for Jacob. Our actors today are Chasten Fox, who plays Jacob Zulu, Obum Ukabam, who plays Ishe, the messenger. We have chorus members Justin Daniels, Nash McQuarters, Victor Grimes, and Cornelius Johnson, just 4 members of a much larger chorus. And so as they sing, La Lila, La Lila, I invite you to listen. Listen.
La le la di po. La le la, la le la. 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 Hey, hey! La le la, la le la. La le la, la le la. La le la, la le la. La la la, la la la, la la. The fire is burning, it lights up the sky. From high on the rock down to the sea. Lily Lambo, it is taking the children. Lily Lambo, it is eating the future. Lily Lambo, smutty fire open your heart. Smutty fire open your heart. Smutty fire open your heart. Lily Lambo Baba, Lily Lambo Mama, Lily La Zingani, La Lelani Bo. This is the song of a young man called Jacob Zulu. La la Zulu, who suffered for the sins of South Africa. South Africa. Lambu Baba, Lambu Mama, La Singani, La Lelani Bo. This is a song of those for whom the good news, the good news, the good news, the good news of the end of apartheid. If it is the end. Comes too late. Hallelujah. La la la, lambu la, lambu mama, la la zingani, la la la, la la la, la la la, la la la. Hey, hey!
Fuman?
So, they put you in here.
Yeah, bro, just for tonight.
What's your name?
Is it 10 days?
Tende. Call me Iche.
Each,
Iche.
each. Right.
Where you from?
South of here,
Where, south?
near Peter Mattisburg.
Oh, Mattisburg boy. I used to ride the bus from Mattisburg to Durban, through the valley of 1,000 hills. Beautiful. I will lift mine eyes up to the hills, to the, what? From something?
From whence cometh my help?
Yes. Good. Good. So, you're a Christian.
Yeah.
Good. Me too. I'm Roman Catholic. So, what you doing way up here?
I'm going to my sister's wedding.
Your sister's wedding?
Yeah.
Where she live? Mozambique?
No. It's around here.
Come on, man. You're not going to no sister's wedding. You're going up north. You're going to the camps
No,
to join
no.
them culture.
No,
yeah?
I'm not
Yeah.
going. No. No.
You have a mother?
Yes.
Yeah, she loves you.
Yes.
You have a
but
father? He loves you.
Yes. What are you doing?
Then go back. Go home. Let the other boys go to the camp. You'll never make it across the border. The Tutsis here, man, they'll eat you alive. And if they don't get you, the cops will.
I can defend myself.
Yourself. Don't make me laugh. You'll end up dead or in prison. You ever been to prison?
Yeah.
Yeah? Where?
It doesn't matter where.
Come on, tell me where.
It doesn't matter where.
Tell me.
Fine. Luke Street, Peter Mattisburg.
Never heard of it. How long you there?
I was there for 3 days.
3 days! Aye! Boy, you know nothing. 3 days? The first time the judge sentenced me to 2 months, and I was 13 years old. 13. Can you cut cane sugar? Can you break rocks with a hammer?
No.
There's no work for a child. Your arms, they begin to swell. Your fingers get bloody and your fingernails rip off. Do you know how many rocks there are?
What? No, a lot?
Yeah. The last time I was sentenced to 11 years. 11 years hard labor. Every morning, waking up to some guy just defecating in the corner. One piss pot for 50 guys. Just feces, just imagine, floating all over the place. And then, hey, the smell, the stink, the screaming, the fighting 5 feet from your face. And at night, it was worse. Men crying. And those white warders, man, oh, you never met bastards like that. No, they treated me like some common dog. Do you know how they count the prisoners? They make us lie down on our face, and they walk on us with their boots on my face 2 times a day for 11 years, not 3 days, 11 years. They put the cigarettes out on your face, yeah. They burn you in your, yeah. They kick your balls in. Every night I pray to God, God, just please take me out of here. Get me out of here. 3 times I tried to escape and those white bastards caught me every time. And they threw me in a hole. In a hole. 2 times I tried to take my own life. Don't tell me about pain. You, boy, you know nothing about pain.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry. Don't be sorry for me. I know what I'm doing. God told me what to do. Yeah. He told me in a dream. He said, I want you to be like Mbogoze. Mbogoze over the mountain. He was fighting the enemies of Shaka. And he's swinging and swinging. And his spear was bloody. It was pouring down his body. And all the blood, it was rising up in my cell. And I was going to drown in all the blood. So I had my hammer. And I began to swing. Kill. Kill the white man. Kill the white man. Kill the white man. Naja. Shitende, go home. Go home to your mother. Go home to your father that loves you. Let the other boys go to the camp. You go home.
I'm not going to the camps. Okay, I'm going up north to the school. And then I'll come back and teach others.
You're not going to teach.
What are you talking about?
I can see it in your eyes. You're going to have the same nightmares that I have.
You don't know what you're saying.
Maybe. Or maybe I'm too late already.
Man, you're crazy.
And that's what the white man said. Crazy. I'm going to sleep. Do you want this light on?
No.
It is dark in my mind. It is dark in my heart. In my heart I smell cigar. It flows over my soul. Really, this man is a messenger. Really, this man is a messenger. It is dark. It is dark in my mind. It is dark in my heart. In my heart, I smell tears. In my heart, I smell tears. In my heart, I smell tears. I am wandering and roving all over.
2 shillings.
I arrive in the valleys of Mozambique.
2
They
shillings.
ask, what is your name, boy? I
2
tell them
shillings.
my name is Jacob.
2 shillings.
Away in need, live to fight,
Fight to live, live to fight. Live to fight, fight to live, live to fight. Live to fight, fight to live, live to fight.
Maybe you needed to get a redirection of some kind. I mean, these are incredible actors. I can't wait to see the full show with all the chorus and all the singing. One of the things I love about World Stage Theater here in Tulsa is that after the show, they always pick shows that prick the conscience and bring us into conversations we need to be having. And after the show, they always bring out the actors and sometimes special guests to help the audience have a dialogue about the topic. Today, I want to talk about this, the Song of Jacob Zulu. It's based on a true story that happened in South Africa of a black youth, South African youth, who was accused of a senseless act of terrorism that claimed both black and white lives. He was the son of a minister, and he began his protest with the African National Congress, nonviolently, but he became radicalized after watching the brutalization and the violence perpetrated against black people in apartheid South Africa, he eventually plants a bomb in a shopping mall, and as one reviewer wrote, it's a sad tale of how racial discrimination warps the lives of everyone it affects. Racial discrimination warps the lives of everyone it affects. It's really a story more about a condemnation of this racial discrimination and white supremacy rather than of the individual who caused the act of harm. But truly, this discrimination that he was under in South Africa led this gentle minister's son to become a mass murderer. The question that I want us to grapple with today is one that was suggested by Justin, who is a member of our worship team. He's always behind the scenes in the AV room, unless he's playing some music for us. But Justin, who's also the son of a minister, as it turns out, asked the question during our worship team this week as we talked about this. He said, I want to know, what does it take to push someone so far into hopelessness that they will betray all their values? It's a real question for us today. A year ago, we watched hundreds of our fellow citizens engaging in a protest, quote unquote, that led to the beating and the brutalization of police officers at the United States Capitol. The FBI has deemed it a terrorist act. Over 400 of these people have been arrested, and they're not just people living on the margins of the dark web of the internet. These are doctors and lawyers and military veterans and business people and contractors and active politicians. There are neighbors in some cases, and even some of our relatives. Not all of them engaged in violence, but we saw people beating police officers with American flagpoles and fire extinguishers. And people died, and many were wounded. And 2 bombs were planted in public places in Washington, D.C. that day. Now, I'm not trying to draw a moral equivalence between those who were fighting against apartheid in South Africa and those who stormed the Capitol here in the United States on January 6th, other than to pose the question of what does it take for any person to choose violence as a means of creating political change. And this is not an academic exercise, even here in the United States anymore. Today, in the United States, I read 21 million of our fellow citizens have said that they believe violence is justified and is an appropriate way to create political change in this country. 21 million of the people we live with in this nation. A significant number of Americans believe that we are headed towards a new civil war in this country. Imagine. Now, it's easy to look around right now and to feel fear, to feel hopeless, even to feel hatred. In some ways, it's hard not to feel some of those things at different times right now. Our lives are surrounded by disease and inequality and environmental crises and political polarization like we've never seen before. So first, as counterintuitive as it might sound, I want to make a case for hopelessness and for fear and even for hatred. Religious people do not give enough acknowledgement to the positive benefits of these emotions, which cause people over and over again to choose these emotions. And I think it's a common shortcoming of religion and religious people to jump too quickly to hope and to love. There are real problems in that. Over the gate, going into Auschwitz, the concentration camp where thousands of Jews were gassed, children and women and men, it read, "Work will set you free in German. Work will set you free, providing hope to keep people compliant. Hope can keep people compliant. You may remember standing in this pulpit some years ago, Professor Miguel de la Torre, who is a professor of social ethics at Iliff School of Theology, and he spoke on this topic here. He said, I find it problematic to hope that all things will work out for the best. History and personal experience shows that it seldom does. Good Christians, he says, with plenty of hope in God's protection, die in horrible accidents, experience financial collapse, and lose all that is dear to them, just like non-Christians do. Bad things do happen and happen often to good people. He goes on, modernity has taught us that we as a species are moving towards some kind of utopia. Hope exists that the future, thanks to God or science or human ingenuity, will be more forward-thinking, more egalitarian than the past. But what if it's not true? All too often, hope becomes an excuse not to deal with the reality of injustice. What role then is played by religious hope? Is it the opiate that Marx claims it to be? Still quoting from De La Torre, the reality of reading our daily newspapers is that for far too many who are on the margins of society, there is no hope. Hope becomes an obstacle when it serves as a mechanism that maintains rather than challenges the prevailing social structures. Hope often helps maintain the status quo of injustice. So let's not jump too fast to hope. Now, we don't do it because it might cause us to be part of the problem rather than part of the solution. So let's take a moment to do what would be taboo in most church settings. Let's discuss the benefits of hopelessness and even hatred. For one, feeling hopeless protects us from being disappointed. If you don't expect anything good to happen, then you don't have to worry about being disappointed. Being hopeless also can help you feel okay about not taking action or about some action that you do take. I remember asking a friend, why didn't you vote in the most recent election? And she had no problem with her decision, saying, my vote doesn't matter. Hopelessness can help us to feel okay about not acting and not making certain decisions. Feel okay about our lives just as we want to lead them, even if they're not moral or beneficial to others. Or my neighbor who said, I don't want to protest for black lives because it's a waste of time. Things will never change. So hopelessness can help somebody just kind of live aloof from a lot of things, and that can feel like a benefit to them. Now, in his seminal book called Jesus and the Disinherited, Dr. Howard Thurman talks about the ways in which hatred among the oppressed and the dispossessed can be life-affirming in the face of cruelty and denigration. He talks about how those who are discriminated against, if they accept the judgment of those who look down upon them, then their acquiescence becomes an endorsement of the judgment. He writes, because they are despised, they despise themselves. If they reject the judgment, hatred may serve as a device for rebuilding step by perilous step the foundation for individual significance, so that from within the intensity and perhaps the necessity, they declare their right to exist despite the judgment of the environment. He talks about how under these conditions, Hatred can be a rallying point for the personality. It can be a tremendous source of dynamic energy. So that every expression of intolerance and every attitude of meanness and every law that limits and degrades a person becomes not a source of self-negation, but one of self-righteousness. It becomes a tool of survival and dignity. Thurman says, imagine if you were one of five children in a family, but the family only has enough money for 4 of everything. And so you always missed out. So that when it's time to buy shoes, they only had enough money to buy 4 pairs of shoes, and so you didn't get any. And when it was time to buy clothes, there was only enough money to buy 4 new sets of clothes, so you had to just keep wearing your old clothes. And over again, it happened. The family did not spread around the misfortune, but that you were always the one who was dealt the deprivation of the family. And your hatred towards this system, your hatred even towards the people within this system, would become a kind of affirmation of your own worth, your own humanity. So let's return for a moment to the drama that started this conversation, the Song of Jacob Zulu, the play. Jacob watched over and over again violence and degradation of his own people in apartheid South Africa, and he finally decides that the only thing that he could do to stop the violence was to perpetrate violence. Now, if you're a political liberal in America, and I happen to know that a number of people watching are, imagine a scenario, all right, where it's 2024, and it's after the presidential election, and you're told by President Biden and Kamala Harris and other leaders who you value and trust, and by all the news stations that you listen to and trust, that the Republicans have stolen the election through fraud. Is it inconceivable that you or others you know could decide it was time to fight to save democracy? To decide that fighting under these circumstances is justified. Now, how about in the case of the brutalization of you and your people by another group, like in apartheid South Africa, like in Jim Crow America? Might you say that your movements of resistance are done not out of hatred, not out of hopelessness, but in fact out of love? There's a sign that I remember seeing at the protests on January 6th that said, "Guilty of loving America." These folks were saying, I'm not doing this out of hopelessness or hatred. I'm doing this out of love. Sometimes love can be a way of understanding a darker shadow of the emotions that are fueling hopelessness, violence, and despair. So, if you were convinced that American democracy was being destroyed, would your decision to go to war to save it be fueled less by fear or hope, but by love of country or love of freedom? And so that you would say, it's my love that's causing me to fight. Ultimately, Howard Thurman gets to the point where he says, despite all of the positive psychological attributes of hatred, hatred finally destroys the core of life of the hater. Hatred destroys the hater. He tells a story about when he was an undergraduate in Atlanta, Georgia, and a white man came into the president's office where he worked, and the president was busy, so the man struck up a conversation with Thurman, and eventually he began to talk about his two little boys. And he said, among other things, "I'm rearing my boys so that they will not hate Negroes. Do not misunderstand me. I do not love them, but I am wise enough to know that if I teach my boys to hate Negroes, that they will end up hating white people as well." Thurman explains that hatred cannot be controlled once it is set in motion. His larger point is that even if our acts of hatred or desperation or hopelessness lead to a sense of self-affirmation of one's own life, if it also leads to the denying of the life of others or the taking of the life of others, then it ultimately negates our own humanity. You can't affirm your own humanity and negate someone else's humanity at the same time, because your negation of someone else's humanity in and of itself degrades your own humanity. Now, in the end, Thurman says that hatred is the death of the spirit, and it leads to the disintegration of our ethical and moral values. Ultimately, Thurman turns to love and to nonviolence. He was the teacher, a professor, very influential of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he says, love and nonviolence are the only actions that make moral sense, even in the midst of chaos and oppression. This is why he says, we love not only for the impact that it can have on others, but it is an expression of our own deepest humanity. We love not only for the impact on others, but we love because our love is an expression of our deepest humanity, even in the midst of whatever might be happening. So hope isn't always good, and hopelessness isn't always bad, and even hatred can have its benefits, but in the end, all of them must lead us to love. In the end, all of these impulses, as human and as understandable as they might be, we have to find ways to allow them to lead us and channel all of that into love. That is the way that we can change the world. Thank you.
If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to walk on, walk on. If we want hope to survive in the world today, every day we've got to walk on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to work on, work on. If we want hope to survive in the world today, then every day we've got to work on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to move on, move on. Hope to survive in the world today, and every day we've got to move on. If we want hope to survive in the world today, then every day we've got to march on. If we want hope to survive in the world today, then every day we've got to march on. If we want hope to survive, hope to survive, we've got to teach on, teach on, teach on. Teach the little babies, teach the little babies, teach the little babies. If we want hope to survive in the world, we've got to hope to survive in the world today. And every day we've got to sing, 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 sing. sing out there. Can you sing over there? Can you sing, 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 sing?
Wow, thank you, Tavis. Thank you, choirs. Amazing. If we want hope to survive in the world today, someone who helped hope survive in my world and the world of so many people in Tulsa is a woman you may know. Her name is Sue Ames, and she's the recipient of our Centennial All Souls Reproductive Rights Advocacy Award this morning. It's my honor to introduce Sue to those of you who don't know her. When I met her 12 years ago when I came to Tulsa, she was working tirelessly for our rights to die with dignity and also for women's autonomy over their own bodies. She was a passionate advocate in the reproductive justice movement. She was personally returning phone calls, messages left on the voicemail at our reproductive services clinic, and talking to women every day, 7 days a week, finding out what their needs were, making sure she could get as much funding as possible for them so that they could get the medical care and attention they could get. She is a woman who has kept hope alive in the world today. I hope you enjoy this video in honor of Sue Ames this morning.
For 57 years, Sue Ames has been a leader at All Souls, working to support the church through her work on the Board of Trustees, Life Decisions, Day Alliance, and much more. But it's her work for reproductive rights that she is most proud. It has been her life's mission to have a positive impact on the quality of women's lives. Sue has been active in this effort for more than 40 years. Sue was instrumental in organizing All Souls members' involvement with Oklahoma Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice and provide volunteers for Operation Respect Peaceful Presence. Along with her late husband, Roger, they were often on the front lines at rallies and protests in support of reproductive rights. Sue says this work has taught her to appreciate other people's lives and is grateful for the ability to help women who experience difficult situations. Sue reminds us that All Souls is a caring leader in supporting our community and encourages members to join one of the many groups as a personal expression of love beyond belief. Congratulations, Sue, on the All Souls Reproductive Rights Advocacy Award. We thank you for all you do to support women with your personal expression of love.
Thank you, Sue. We love you. The Song of Jacob Zulu, that play that you saw an excerpt from this morning, opens on January 27th. I know I plan to go online and buy my tickets this afternoon. Also hope you'll join us this Wednesday for our Wednesday Connections Kickoff, which is an evening with Connie Cronley, author of A Life on Fire, about Kate Barnard, an early feminist here in Oklahoma in the earliest 20th century. You can find information about everything that's happening this week, lots to keep hope alive in your life online. Everything will be online this week. You can find links on social media and on our website. Please also mark your calendars for January 30th, our KNIPA lecture. I'm a Yale professor, and his title is What the Baptist Minister Learned from the Rabbi, What We've Learned from 20 Years of Interfaith Dialogue. That's on January 30th, and our classes and our chapel services will begin again on Wednesday, February 2nd. That's a 2/2/22. Sounds like an auspicious day to me. And our offering today goes to the World Stage Theater Company, but next week our offering will go to the Row Fund, something Sue was always passionate about and made sure that those of us who wanted to support it would have an opportunity to support it. So thank you so much for your generosity. We'll now receive this morning's offering.
Wow, all right. I love our musicians here at All Souls. We are so fortunate to have them here. And we're so fortunate that you tuned in and are joining us here at All Souls through everything we're going through. Here you are. And I hope that as you go into your week, that if you do experience feelings of hopelessness, fear, hatred, and any of those feelings that are so human and so natural to feel, especially when we're under a lot of pressure and a lot is happening in the world around us. I hope that even in the midst of all of that, that you will be able to find within yourself and cultivate within yourself your greatest asset, which is your love, the love that you hold and the love that you share. And if you're having trouble doing that, as we all do from time to time, I hope you will reach out to us and that together we will find ways to cultivate the love that is within us and the love that is between us. Go out into this world, have eyes to see beauty, lips to speak truth, a heart to know love, and hands to do the good works of this world until we meet again. See you soon.
As we extinguish our chalice, let us remember that anyone can hope when success is plainly in view. It takes genuine strength to hope even when matters seem hopeless.